Hi everybody, this is Jared from Cardboard of the Rings podcast. This is a little video tutorial that I'm going to show you that utilizes a couple of cards that will be coming out in the next expansion for Lord of the Rings, Shadow and Flame, and uses the deck previewed in the Decks of Dwarven Part 1. Essentially, I took that deck, I made up a couple of proxies, I put in this card called Nor Am I a Stranger, which I've never really used, so I thought it'd be a good chance to use it. I proxied that in for this card, Beravor, which is coming out in the next expansion. Okay, Beravor is essentially a one-cost spirit attachment that attaches to a hero and has the following action. Discard Beravor to choose 2. Ready the attached hero. Add 1 resource to the attached hero's resource pool. Attached hero gets +1 willpower until the end of the round, or put Beravor on the top of your deck. Okay, in this combination that I will do shortly, I'll probably be using the, definitely using the ready attached hero. We'll most often use the add 1 resource as my second choice. However, on occasion, depending on how the cards come out of the deck, I may use the place Beravor back on top of the deck to get it back in the hand quicker. I mean, I have 3 of them in the deck. By the time you get this combo working, you'll have all 3 of them in your hand, or you may have played them on your heroes. But anyway, it's going to be I'm going to be using those. I'm not really going to use the willpower part of it because it really, as you'll see with this combo, isn't necessary. The other card that I proxied in was Master of the Forge. I actually used this guy over here, Bomber. For this particular combination, it's not really that relevant. As you're playing the game initially, using Beravor over here to draw lots of cards, using the Beravors and the 1 Unexpected Courage that was in the deck to ready her to allow her to draw more cards. You get the extra card draw from Bilbo Baggins at the start of each turn because this is a solo deck I'm playing. And you can use Master of the Forge and also, where is she? There she is, Imladris Stargazer. You can use her to reorder the cards so you're getting the stuff you want quicker, and you can also use Master of the Forge, proxied by Bomber in this deck, to get the attachments you need. Obviously, like all the songs that I have in here, which are crucial to the deck, the Love of Tales, which again is fairly crucial to the, is really crucial to the deck. All of those, they're all attachments, so you can use Master of the Forge to get them out, or you can use good old Imladris Stargazer to move them from, the 4th or 5th card to the top cards, so that when you exhaust Beravor, you get them into hand. Okay, but in this part of it, which is essentially later in the game, once you've drawn through your entire deck, that particular card's not that important anymore, so I'll put that aside. And that's why I've discarded most of my cards up here. Normally they'd either be in play here or they'd be in my hand, but to simplify the tutorial, I've just kept the other cards that I'll need as part of this combination in my hand. The main one being Durin's Song, because this is the one that I'm going to use over and over again in combination with the Beravor proxy and Beravor to keep pumping old Bifur here, excuse the language, and boost him up by +2 willpower, +2 attack, and +2 defense until the end of the round, over and over and over again, running through the cycle where I keep getting this card back to hand, keep discarding and getting this card back to hand. The Beravor proxy to ready Beravor, give her a resource, and then obviously exhaust Beravor again to draw 2 cards, and using Will of the West to keep cycling the stuff. I only have 2, and you really only need 2 to keep cycling the stuff back out of your discard into your draw deck, and then using Beravor to draw it back to hand, and using the Love of Tales ability that every time I play this song, I get 1 resource on each hero that has one, and in this case all 3 heroes have one, so every time I play it, whichever one of these heroes' resources I use to play it, I get that resource back, and then the other 2 will generate a resource. So they'll actually go up a resource each time, which is pretty cool. And that's how you can afford to keep playing these cards over and over and over again. But anyway, we'll get into it. The other thing is, I don't really need Owen and Domiel. I was doing doing the Redhorn Gate quest, so I had her there. I'll just discard her. But the reason I've left these two guys in is that essentially once I've made Bifur into an absolute machine that has tons of willpower, as much attack, as much defense as you want, I can then use a resource, exhausting these guys, to ready him again, so I can use him over and over again. And then I can also use the Beravor proxies at the end, once I've got him to as large as I want him to be, playing them on Bifur and then discarding them to ready him as well. And with that, I can discard the Beravor, ready Bifur, give him a resource, which then allows me to pay for Erebor Record Keeper, which I then exhaust to ready Bifur again, which then allows me to use him again. So, with a couple of Record Keepers, the Beravor proxies, etc., I can, get Bifur attacking or defending or questing, using him multiple times in a turn once I've boosted him up with this combo. So I'll just leave them there just as a bit of a reminder that we can do that. Okay, so just to show you how relatively easy this is, I'm just going to put the resources on these guys that I would get just using the cards I have. I got the Steward of Gondor on there, so I'm getting 3 on Bifur. Say I'd spent all my resources on other stuff last turn, but I've drawn all the cards out of my deck, then just using the resources that these guys would get at the beginning of the round, you can get this infinite loop going. Okay, so first thing I'll do is I'll take one of my Beravor proxies, play it for 1 onto Beravor here. So I'll take a resource off of her to play that card. Then I will pay 1 resource off of Bifur here to play my Durin's Song. Now remember, it is a song. They have Love of Tales, so he loses a resource. Then he gets it back. Then I give 1 extra to each of these two because they both have Love of Tales on there as well. Okay, and that goes to my discard pile. Then I play my Will of the West for 1 resource. In this case, I'll take it off of Bifur again. Bearing in mind these guys have Song of Kings and Song of Travel on them, so they all have Law, Leadership, and Spirit resource icons, so I can use any of these 3 to pay for my cards. Okay, I then shuffle my discard back into my deck, which is only 1 card. Then Will of the West goes to my discard. Then I exhaust my Beravor, draw 2 cards. In this case, I only draw 1. Get my Durin's Song back. Okay, then I can discard my Nor Am I a Stranger to ready Beravor, and I will give her a resource. Right, then I will pay 1 to play Durin's Song again. So he's already gone up by 2, so he's a 4/3/4. I'll pay 1 again off of Bifur, goes down 1, then goes back up 1. Then these two both get an additional resource. It goes to the discard, so he's now 6 willpower, 5 attack, 6 defense. Okay, I then play my Beravor proxy again for 1, taking 1 resource off of Beravor. I then play Will of the West, taking a resource from wherever you like. I'll take it off of Beravor this time. Okay, I then put my discard back in, so those 3 go back in, shuffle them a couple of times, and then that Will of the West goes to the discard. Then I can exhaust my Beravor, draw 2 cards. Okay, and I got back Durin's Song and Will of the West. Doesn't really matter if I had if I'd got back my Beravor proxy or not, because I would just do what I'm about to do now, which is discard it to the top of the deck to ready her. Then I exhaust her again, and I get both of those back. So I've got both of my Beravor proxies back. Okay, I then play Durin Song, paying 1 resource of Bifur, so he goes down 1, up 1. Bilbo keeps generating resources. She goes back to 2. It goes to the discard. I pay 1 to play my Beravor proxy again. I pay 1. Whoops, sorry, I better take the resource. I'll take 1 off of her again. I pay 1 for my Will of the West. Take that off of I can take it off of her again. So she'll go down to nothing. I then shuffle back in my other Will of the West, my other Durin Song, bearing in mind I still have a couple in hand. Not that I really need them because I can keep recycling the others. Will of the West goes to the discard. Okay. Then I discard my Nora, my Stranger proxy for Beravor, goes to the discard. Readies her, gives her a resource. I exhaust her, draw my 2 cards, get my Will of the West back, get my Durin Song back, and the cycle goes on. So you can see how this is all working. I just keep playing it, keep recycling. Old Beravor here and Bifur, their resources will fluctuate a little. However, I keep generating. Each time I do this, I will keep generating 1 additional resource on Bilbo. So he'll actually keep accumulating every single turn that I play this combo an extra resource. Not that I really need them for anything, but, you know, they're there. So they're a bit of a backup in case I accidentally make a mistake in the cycle each turn. And by having multiples of these cards, I can keep getting them back anyway. And so it goes on and on. He will keep going up. You can get him to an infinite amount of willpower, infinite amount of attack, infinite amount of defense. And then at the very end, you know, what you do is you put your Beravors, in this case my Nora, my Strangers, you know, you'll pop them on him. He'll probably have a few resources. If he doesn't, then, you know, I've got some on Bilbo that I can use. You know, I can discard that to ready him, so exhaust him to quest, discard that, give him a resource, ready him, then use him to defend. Once or twice maybe, discarding another one, give him another resource, ready him, and then maybe use him to attack a couple of times, spending those resources to exhaust the record keepers to ready him. So with 3 of those Beravors, 2 record keepers, potentially 3 in there, that gives you, you know, 7 uses of this guy once he's been pumped up an infinite amount. So as you can see, quite a powerful little loop once you get it going. I wasn't really a fan of the Love of Tales, and I still think unless you're really making a deck like this that's completely built around getting into a really cool combo that just generates off of that Love of Tales, then, you know, it's okay, but it's not the greatest. I've played this proxy deck on my table in my living room a few times, about 6 or 7, and really the majority of resources that I generate through this deck normally come from Steward of Gondor. Like, I still get the majority. Most of the times the game's over. I've either died because this deck doesn't work that well against some of the quests where you get a lot of enemies out early. So I've either died before I can get all the Love of Tales out, or by the time I get the Love of Tales out, I've pretty much got rid of all the songs. You know, I've got half my deck in my discard. And then, you know, you've got to try and recycle it back in, draw through it again to get, you know, to get those songs back, to really get the benefit of the Love of Tales. But when this thing worked, it worked really well. But yeah, a lot of the time, gets lots of enemies, you tend to die early. You know, these guys really not good on the old defense attack front. Same with a lot of the other characters, bearing in mind that this guy really is he's a 2 cost, 0 willpower, 0 attack, 1 defense, 1 hit point character. When he's actually the master of the forge, which is what I'm playing him as. So, you know, again, you know, enemies come out, this guy dies. The 1 hit point makes him vulnerable to those do direct damage to exhausted character cards. So you've got to be careful when you use this ability. Really don't want to be using that ability, if you can, until after the quest phase. You may be in a bit of a pinch. You may need to draw because you need that card to play now so you can get through the quest phase. But if you do that, then you just got to be prepared that that guy's going to potentially potentially burn if there are treacheries that do direct damage. The deck does have some counter treachery cards in it, so it will cancel some of those when revealed effects. So you can keep them alive that way. But again, except for Haldir and Gildor and Glorian, there's not a lot of guys in here. Gandalf as well. That will really allow you to attack enemies or to take big hits. If you get the Burning Brand out, which I have here somewhere. Yep, there we go, Burning Brand. So you get that on either Bifur here or onto Bilbo or something, just so they can defend. There are a couple of Protector of Lorien in here, so that I can discard cards, because this deck does draw a lot of cards to boost up either willpower or defense. I can drop a couple of cards to boost Bilbo's defense up, maybe throw Burning Brand on him, because he's not really questing for much, so he's better off being used as a defender. He's really only in the deck for for the fact that he's a lore character, and that he gives you that extra card draw at the beginning of each turn. Playing as a solo deck, you're the first player all the time, so you get to draw that one additional card every single turn, which helps you get through the deck, which you need to do in this sort of thing. So the deck itself, not too bad. Suffers against those decks that those quests that have a lot of enemies. So Watcher in the Water is a really bad one. Some of the others, if you went back and played some of the Khazad Doom ones with this deck, you might struggle a little as well, but can be effective, but not always. Anyway, good fun deck. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed my little video. Hope you like the combo, and if you get the chance to play it, give it a try. And I'll speak to you guys in the next podcast. See you later.